Hey everyone. So I'm working on the new book right now. So I thought I'd just jump on live real quick while I'm working on this book. Like, I just can't believe what's coming through this vessel right now. We're decoding angels and demons and like in the biology and how the neurology of how the brain and everything interfaces with spirit, like where matter and spirit come together and linking religion and science and demystifying everything. I'm just sitting here like, holy crap, like what is happening right now? This is what I just keep asking. Are we serious right now? Are we serious that we got it's here, all the answers. Welcome, smooth operator one and data. Yeah, it's just like it's so ridiculous right now. Like, I'm looking at this angels and demons that have plagued people and seeing that it's welcome Solaris. It's just crap going on in our own minds, and we can measure it on brain scans, and we have the answers and solution. Like, we have science talking on one side with all their discoveries. We have religion that's been here forever, and nothing has linked them until it's happening right in front of my very eyes. And I'm releasing the books for free and the information for free. And it's just, what? Like, angels and demons are just different operation modes of your central nervous system. Of course, it's linked. I'm not negating spirituality and religion and all that, but that we can actually troubleshoot and debug our own systems and have the tools. Welcome, Glinda Long. Crazy, exciting, amazing times that we live in, knowing that we're not going to experience death. That's what this means. Like, we're the last generation that's going to see death. Welcome, Ivan Skietti, or G, Stephen Lyle, Glinda Long. I doubt most people will even stick around. Welcome, Juanita Lachey, Dustin Norton, Jasmine Jackson, Solaris. Why the last? Because we're not dying. That's the thing. Like, that's what I'm putting out here is we have the solution. Welcome, Clay. We have the cause of death and suffering and pain and disease and conflict and war and all the problems. And consequently, when you know the cause of it all, you know the solution. So we have the solution. Welcome, Stinky Horse, Genuine Ginny 714, April G, Exclusive Lux. So yeah, we are literally the last ones alive that are going to see death. We're here for the long haul. It's like a complete, entire paradigm shift. That's what this whole awakening thing is about. And yeah, we've cracked it all. We cracked it wide open. It's all verified in science, and we're linking it to religion and philosophy and everything. Like, it's all solved. What happens next? Solaris is asking what happens next. So what happens next is we eliminate this infection from our humanity, the ego separation cancer, the hijacking of the default mode network. We get everybody into coherence. We stop needing to take meds and all that stuff, and then we activate literally God mode inside of all of us, and we create. That's what's next. So I mean, the possibilities are endless. We're leaving survival mode, we're entering into creative mode. So think of playing Minecraft. We're going from survival mode, and we're flipping the switch to creative mode. So we experience essentially immortality, and we create. We're not having to survive and fight each other and struggle anymore. It's happening right now. It's it's happening right now. It's happening. It's actually happening. That's why I just had to get on here. I'm just like, holy crap. I can't believe this is happening. And most people are completely oblivious to what's happening. They don't have a clue. Even all the awake people, all the people that think they're going to be quantum jumping to different realities and everything, they still don't realize that they're part of a collective. Welcome everybody who's joining. And then the quarantine will be lifted, and we'll be rejoining the cosmic family, and then we can go places. We'll start exploring the galaxy, the cosmos, everything. Humanity is just beginning. We are just being born, essentially, or reborn. This is the rebirth, the return of Christ. This is what we've been working toward. This is what, Jesus came here, Krishna, Buddha, Nikola Tesla, so many avatars and minds have worked and carried this torch to bring us this far. And this avatar you're looking at right here is the one that's just bringing it all together. I'm not creating anything new. I'm just creating the mapping table. This is what like angels and demons are, this is what's going on in your central nervous system. What you're experiencing is pain and suffering. That's your hijacked default mode network. Here's how to activate the vagus nerve and turn down the default mode network so you can activate task positive network and get into flow state and stop having your system decay into entropy because you're disconnected. So you get reconnected back up to source, and you're like a tree planted in the ground with its roots. It's able to sustain indefinitely. We've been disconnected, folks. Our roots have been cut, severed, but now we're growing our roots back again. Like, this is really actually happening right now. Like, that's the great news about what's happening right now. And it's just so profound. Like, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, what a time to be alive, to be a part of this transition for humanity into the new age, the golden age. And as far as I understand it, we're never leaving that again. And who knows what kind of stuff is going out in the greater cosmos? We don't know because we're cut off. But once we get connected back up, we're going to be meeting with non-human intelligence, like other extraterrestrials and everything. And we're going to get caught up to speed on what's been happening. And there's more than likely a greater war going on out there that we'll be a part of, to heal the rest of the cosmos. And whew, man, last night or this morning, I woke up at 6:45 in the morning. A lightning bolt struck like 50 feet away from me, like outside my window. And it woke me up so fast. I got up and I looked out the window and I saw the tail end of the flash, and it was like so freaking loud. Solaris asks how much time is left. See, that's a question from the old paradigm. We are in an infinite now moment. We are reconnecting back to the 0 point. Time is just reference. It's all relative. So what we experience as the past is just memories. What we think of as the future is just projections of what we think is going to happen. We're operating in the default mode network. That's that narrative, rumination, self-referential stuff that we've been trapped in. So we've literally been trapped in time. Time is a construct. It's not real. We only experience it because we have reference. Like, time is just like temperature. It's a reference from here to here, but it's completely fungible. It's malleable. All of reality is fungible and malleable. We live in an infinite universe, in an infinite now eternal moment. Like, we don't live outside of eternity. Time is just this illusion that we were stuck in because we were so identified with being separate individuals and not acknowledging that we are part of we are everything and part of everything simultaneously. That's what we're waking up to. So time, how much time is left? That question is irrelevant. We're in eternity. We have eternity to do this. But what I'm saying is right now it's happening. The transition is happening. The phase transition is happening. Call it what you want. The timeline collapse, wave function collapse, timeline shift, and all sorts of things. New earth, heaven on earth, kingdom of heaven restored. Like, there's so many different ways people have been describing this. 5D earth, like going from 3D to 5D. Like, this is right now occurring as we speak. We're doing it. Like, we did it. Now reality has to catch up because there's a lag or a delay in physical reality. But we have so many souls here now that are anchoring these new energies that it's pulling everybody into it. Like, think of it like a black hole. Like, no one has a choice. We're all going. We all go together. Whew, man. Like, can you guys believe it? Wow. Like, knowing that you're not going to die, not like everyone else has in the past. Like, we're not going to experience that unless you get hit by a bus or something. So, I mean, I'll look both ways before you cross the street. Can't really do much about that if you destroy your vessel and make it unviable for your soul to come back into it. But as long as your vessel is viable, it can heal itself. It can restore itself. We're going to see people aging backwards. That's the wild thing. I think my guess is that we're probably going to be averaging about somewhere in the 30s, like what we consider the prime age, prime years. So everyone's going to be in their 30s. That's where the median is going to stabilize. So if people are 60 years old and they get reconnected and restored back into coherence, they're going to age backwards from 60 until they get back to their 30s. This is the Holy Grail, the Fountain of Youth, whatever, all those things you want to call it. The Ark of the Covenant. We found it again. We found ourselves again is what we did. We realized that we're a collective, and the entire collective is behind every single avatar. Like, part of the problem is, by the way, welcome to everyone that's joining. Part of the problem is, like, people's default mode networks are so hijacked and their salience network is so atrophied and their amygdala is so screwed up. People are only joining this for like 2 seconds and hearing what I'm saying, and I'm not like saying anything like funny or stupid or whatever triggers their dopamine adrenaline rush. So then they just jump off and go to the next high. Like, that's what most of these people are looking for. They're looking to get high because they're hijacked and hypnotized. They're entranced into their story of their life. They're addicted to their lives as much as they feel like they hate them. So their attention span is like 2 seconds, literally like 2 or 3 seconds. And if they don't get what they want in 2 or 3 seconds, they know that they can just swipe and get their drugs within 2 to 3 seconds somewhere else. They don't actually want to heal and get better. And it's, again, there's no judgment here, but that's just the facts of how things are right now. The next step after this for me is to work on the technology. Like, I want to reactivate the cathedrals, and we'll probably have to rebuild pyramids or whatever. And what those are technology that when an individual goes into a cathedral or a temple or whatever, it's supposed to reconnect them back to coherence and reconnect them back up to source. You're not supposed to go there and sing and worship and bow down to some god outside of you that's going to burn you in hell for eternity if you don't be good. Like, that's all shame, fear-based fear porn that the church has been promoting, because the church is hijacked, because all of our systems are hijacked. And again, it's no judgment. It's just the way it is, because we are infected. The human consciousness is infected right now. But again, here we are, staring right at the cure and the diagnosis and everything. So, like, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Like, I'm so far beside myself in all this work. I can't even believe what's coming through right now. Channeling directly from source. And it's not woo-woo. We're demystifying, we're linking religion and woo-woo and stuff down to biology and neuroscience and quantum mechanics. So it can be identified by science. We can see that what we thought was happening in this like spiritual realm, and demons being outside of us and angels being above us and all that stuff, that's all happening inside of us. So that means we have the power. We have the power to free and liberate ourselves, but each person has to take responsibility for themselves. And that's pretty much the crux of the situation right now. Most people want to blame everybody else for what's going on instead of take responsibility and put in the effort and the work to maintain themselves. And that, again, no judgment. That's what the hijacking is. It's just the nature of it. We have to figure out tools and ways to guide these individuals to healing while maintaining free will, because if we violate free will, then that just ruins the whole thing, and we're back where we started. That's what it is right now. And that will all come from source. That's not something for human minds to figure out. That's something that comes from source as we move forward in our faith. It's all taken care of already. It's like being scientific and religious and spiritual and philosophical and all of that at the same time. You don't have to choose one. You have to balance yourself with all of them. You can't just like read one book, the Bible, your whole life and study that, because you'll never figure it out. You need to cross-reference and correlate and realize that everyone and everything in all the fields and all the religions and all the philosophies are talking about the same thing. And it's all being filtered through mind. Like, reality, what you experience as your physical reality and your experience, that's source that's being channeled and filtered through your biology, your brain, and your beliefs and your perceptions. And then it gets filtered and generates your experience, which I call the vivarium. And that generates your experience of reality. So perception is reality. The words perception and reality are synonyms of each other. Perception and reality, same thing. There's no difference at all. So if your perceptions and your beliefs are limiting and you like hate everything and hate yourself, then that's the experience that you get. It's really that simple. If you want to change the world, you want to change your experience of reality, you have to change how you look at it. When 100 people go to the movie theater and watch a movie, there's 100 movies being watched. Everyone's looking at the same screen, but it gets filtered through 100 different minds. So there's 100 different movies being watched. Welcome everybody that's joining. That's why you can have two people that experience the same event, and one person doesn't like it or it traumatizes them, and the other person, they grow stronger from it or they enjoy it. That's just the way it is. But once you understand that for yourself, then you're free. Once you realize that your identity is malleable And when you change your identity, you change your life, because identity and your life experience are intrinsically intertwined. Eckhart Tolle talks about this a lot. It's just what it is. Like, your life that you live is your identity. There's nothing separate from that you experience is separate from your identity or who you believe you are or what you believe you are. And I'm sure if you look back on your life, you can see that that's absolutely 100% true. But if you've always just accepted it and you resign yourself to the fact, then you probably have been experiencing the same life forever, like as far back as you can remember it, because you haven't tried to experience it a different way. You haven't tried to change how you see it or believe it, maybe. So maybe you don't see that that's how it works. But once you start stepping back and performing self-inquiry and observing yourself and your reactions and other people and studying and analyzing things, and you start to change your habits, that changes your identity and how you live, and that changes your life experience, then you'll start to see how much power you have over your life and how you have all the power over how you experience your life. That's why Stoicism is such a great and powerful philosophy, right? Just to be stoic. That's a great place to start, because think of that as like a reset. And so if you are identified with your character, your story of who you think you are literally like living in a delusion. Pablo Joe, you have ways to help with ADHD? Absolutely. That's on the website, claimfreedom.org. So ADHD is when the default mode network and the task positive network are competing with each other. Those are two modes of operation of your central nervous system. The default mode network is for self-reflection and analyzing past and future and planning and stuff like that. That's your internal. And then your task positive network, when that's fully activated, you're in flow state and you don't think. But if your salience network, the salience network is like the router or the task switcher. That's what decides if the task positive network or the default mode network is active. If the salience network is atrophied or unused or corrupted or whatever, then you're not able to switch between TPN and DMN modes. And so they'll compete with each other for resources and they'll run at the same time. Man, it's crazy how easily he distracted and think about nothing. I'm still listening to. Oh, are you talking about your demon? Yeah. Because if you're focusing, you're in like the task positive network, that's what's active. But if the default mode network doesn't get shut down, because the TPN and the DMN are supposed to be anti-correlate networks. They're not supposed to operate at the same time because the brain doesn't have enough energy to run both. So if they're both running at the same time, you have them like fighting with each other. And that's what creates all the ADHD. Yep. So think of it like a muscle. You have to practice. You have to practice watching yourself and observing yourself like you're doing now. Like observing how easily you get distracted, and you do that without judgment. And the more and more you do that, the more you're strengthening your amygdala and you're strengthening your salience network. And then you're reclaiming control over your mind and your body. And that will actually eventually cure your ADHD and your bipolar and your anxiety and your depression and any number of other psychological issues. Yeah, right. So you have to understand that there is only the moment. Anything that you think of outside of the now moment is a distraction because it's not here. It doesn't matter. I mean, planning can be helpful sometimes. Like if you have to meet with somebody at a certain time, like tomorrow or something, that's important. But you only focus on that long enough to schedule an appointment with them or do whatever. Make sure you set an alarm so you don't forget. And then you just go back in, you pull yourself back into the now and you just like ground yourself in your senses. You can try to maybe smell something, taste something. You can listen to see if there's sounds around you, like birds chirping. And this gets into the reticular activating system. That's your RAS. That's a filter. The RAS, yes, it's Pablo Joe says it's your ego that gets distracted. Yes, your ego is your default mode network. That's what your ego is. And so the default mode network, when it's hijacked, that's what is actually a demon. So that's Satan. And I know this is hard for some people to hear, or a lot of people to hear, but when your default mode network is corrupted, that's Satan, because idle hands do the devil's work. So your default mode network is the devil when it's corrupted. But once it's reclaimed, it becomes a daemon or a daimon, which is an automated background process, and it's meant to serve you. That's the proper operation of the default mode network. And that's the book I'm working on now, is the Angels and Demons book. So here's the cover of the book, The Biology of Spirits, Decoding Angels and Demons as Modes of the Central Nervous System. So that's the book cover. So all the angels and demons are you. They're not external entities. They're operating inside your central nervous system in your own biology. And until you have reclaimed your temple, your avatar, your biology, it's running you. You have to run it instead of it run you. Pablo Joe says, so am I you as well? Okay, so this is an avatar. This is a biological, organic computer robot machine that spirit operates in the physical realm, right? When you're identified with it, because you're the divine spark or the consciousness behind the vessel, operating the vessel. Think of like when you play a video game, you have your character on the screen. That's your avatar. That's what this is for you as spirit. The spirit is immortal, eternal, has existed before this vessel and will exist after this vessel. When this vessel is destroyed, spirit makes a new one and then comes out the birth canal of another one. That's how we are born in here. But your memory gets wiped when you get reborn. So the spirit behind this avatar or this vessel is literally the same spirit behind your avatar and your vessel. So yes, there's only one character that's playing all of these. There's only one player playing all of these characters. So behind the vessel, I am you, but this vessel is different than your vessel, your avatar. These are just the suits that the spirit puts on to play with itself. Yeah. So you have your individual sense of me and I am and separation, but the problem is that spirit, the player has completely identified with the vessel and believes that it's the vessel and has forgot that it's God or spirit playing a character. And that's where all the pain and the suffering and the disconnection comes from. Pablo Joe asks, when does it end in a non-morbid way? It's not supposed to end. The reason that people are dying and have to keep getting recycled into new bodies is because they're disconnected. So now all this information I'm putting on the website and in these books, this is the cause. It's outlining all the cause and the cure so that we don't have to keep dying and reincarnating. We are ending that now. We get to live eternally now. That means we establish the kingdom of heaven on earth and we extend our lives indefinitely or for a very long time. I don't know exactly how long we can live for, but it's definitely much longer than how we have been living. It could be thousands of years. It could be tens of thousands of years. We don't know yet. But the problem is that we've all been hijacked because we believe we're separate, we're spirit identified with the vessel, and then experienced all the pain and suffering, then caught in this hijacked default mode network loop, which is the demon, Satan, all that. And then that's what disconnects us and causes us to die. Isn't the entire point of the experience to view ourselves as the avatar we incarnated as? So, yes, that's John is G asking that. Essentially trying to remember something we intentionally forgot. Okay, so this is not that we intentionally forgot. What happened is that we completely forgot. We can't completely forget. If you know anything about quantum mechanics, you'll know about qubits, which is a spinning bit where it's 0 and 1 at the same time. So you have to, one, hold the awareness that everything and everyone is you, but at the same time, hold the awareness that you are separate from everyone. So it's like a wave in the ocean. The wave can't just identify as a wave because it'll die, because the wave dies. But if the wave knows that it's the ocean waving, then it knows that it won't die. It just knows that, oh, I'm going to wave for a little bit and then I'm going to come back in and then I'm going to wave again. So that's like spirit saying, oh, I'm going to make a body. I'm going to experience physicality and have a unique perspective within myself. And then I'm going to come back. Then I'll create a new body and whatever. So then you're not attached to the story and the outcome so much of the character. And so you get to be liberated and experience complete liberation. And then there's no fear of death or whatever. You know that whatever happens, you're fine. Like, it's like if you're driving your car and you're racing your car, you know, if you wreck your car, as long as you survive, you can get a new car or you can fix your car. But if you're driving your car and you believe that you are the car, anything that happens to the car is going to hurt you when the car gets hurt. And then that causes some crazy psychological stuff, right? If you can imagine that. So that's what's happening when we're completely identified with the vessel and forget that we're spirit. That's what creates all this fear and nonsense and survival mode. And we have to go slave away for money and we can't go do what we want to do and all that kind of stuff. I hope that answers your question, John. Is G? I know it was a little long-winded. It's all about balance. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, if you want to continue to experience pain, suffering, fear, and conflict and drama and all that, and be completely identified with that and experience all that is, I mean, you do have that choice. But what you have to know, though, is the collective is waking up right now, and we're choosing to be done with all this drama. Nani43 says, how do we escape the busyness of everyday life? It's habit. So everything is patterns. So like the life that you're living today, the Groundhog Day that you're experiencing, that's something that has taken you a long time to build up into that momentum. However, what you can choose to do is start setting aside time, a little bit of time each day to kind of shift gears. So if you set aside 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, to do something different, you can start building momentum in another direction. I wouldn't recommend you just stop everything you're doing, quit your job and all that and go live a new life. But I mean, you can do that too if you feel that level of confidence. More power to you. But most people don't have that level of confidence. They kind of have to like dip their toes in the water to see if the water is okay before they take the leap of faith, so to speak. This is Dave. It says, how are you, bro? I'm phenomenal. And I mean that quite literally. What I'm experiencing in my life is a phenomena. What we're all experiencing ourselves as is phenomenal. It's a phenomena. Like when you go and watch the Aurora Borealis, you're looking at a phenomena. It's just something that's ineffable. And you don't have to be all reductionist about it and break it down and be like, oh, that's electromagnetism and in different spectrums. And that's why there's blue and red and then blue shift and red shift. And like, that's what we do in our everyday lives right now. And that's what's causing us all this pain because we want to reduce everything down. And we've reduced everything down as much as we can. And we have suffered for it. Now it's time to go back the other way toward the center, back toward unity and take in the whole picture and realize that there is no such thing as good and evil. Like the natural state of things is balance and order. Nature abhors a vacuum. If something is out of balance, nature is will always rebalance. But if you resist, then you're just fighting against balance. And if you're experiencing evil in your life, that's just entropy because you're disconnected. So any closed system will seek toward entropy until it completely decays and blows apart. That's why people die, because they're disconnected. Like when you cut flowers and put them in a vase, you literally created a closed system that is no longer open and being sustained by source. So they go toward entropy and they die after a couple days. And that's just the way it is. If you cut the roots on something, it dies. If it's still rooted, most things are sustainable indefinitely. Like trees will live forever and most flowers and all sorts of stuff. The villain in its story, that's what This is Dave says. Yes, you are the hero, the protagonist, you're the villain, or all of it in one. You're your own worst enemy, but you're your own savior. You're your own Jesus Christ. You get to save yourself. Like that's the freaking beauty of this. You don't have to wait for someone else to come and save you. But you do first have to admit that you are Satan, that you are the beast, 666 carbon. This is Dave says that's an epiphany in its own right. Absolutely. Like understand that like God is all of it. Like it's not that God is in everything. Everything is in God. Like everything is made of God, through God, of God, for God. Nothing can possibly be separate from God. Like that is a fallacy. That's a fake, false lie that anything can be separate from all that is. All that is God. All that is source, the universe, the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, the quantum field. Nothing can be separate from that. Just like a wave can never be separate from the ocean. A wave is something the ocean is doing. You can't take a knot out of a rope. A knot is something that the rope is doing. Like knots aren't in ropes. Ropes are knotting. When there's a wave in the ocean is waving. John is G says, how would you explain the defense mechanisms we put in place, beast or antichrist? Again, that goes back to the indoctrination and the conditioning that we've had from the church. So all that stuff has been written by the church to control people because the church is corrupted, because the leaders were corrupted. The church wasn't always corrupted. It was there to heal and realign people, but it got corrupted as we became corrupted. We drifted and became disconnected. So then it got turned into control mechanisms and scaring people. How would you explain the defense mechanisms we put in place, beast or antichrist, which is you? Again, that's what I'm working on in this book right here that I'm writing, and I'm hoping to have it out like tomorrow. I just started writing it today because I had the idea for it today. And yes, I will admit I'm using AI to do everything because I cannot possibly do this like typing. Like, it would be way too slow. When you have the right tools and you're connected to source, you can channel through any mechanism. Do you believe the church is aware of the truth and wants to keep us in a state of ignorance? No. I believe that nobody knows. I actually believe that I'm the first one that woke up and realized all this. And I'm the first one putting this out there, like, full stop, connecting everything. Because I feel like if there was someone else that knew this, I would be, the way the universe works is magnetism. So we would be magnetized to each other. I wouldn't be able to avoid that other person that's awake like me. There's no way. And you would see them giving it all away on TikTok and their website and everything like me. But as it is, most people, they have like fragments of the truth and they're trying to sell it. This is Dave says, haven't you noticed? What haven't I noticed? What? Because all the control stuff is because the leaders of the church, their default mode networks are hijacked just like ours. So they're demonized. And it's all this entropy, cancerous, egotistical separation nonsense that everyone believes. And it doesn't matter. And let me clarify that. It doesn't matter what you believe and what you know. A lot of this stuff I've known, like a lot of the truths I've known and believed for years, but it's taken me lots of repetition to experience it because it doesn't become real or truth until you experience it. It didn't become real and truth that I am the entire universe until I actually experienced it enough times for it to have like a complete breakthrough and be like, holy crap, it's me. And everyone is me. All the sick people out there are sick parts of my body. I have to do the work to heal them. The whole universe is my responsibility. And as each individual wakes up and knows this truth and experiences this truth, the same thing becomes true for them. You wake up and you realize that all the sickness and disease and pain and suffering out there, it's your responsibility to help heal it all because it's you. Like, that's the truth. 11:11 on my clock. That's pretty cool. This is Dave says, well, that's not what I meant. What did you mean? This is Dave. Like, I don't believe that anyone can experience the truth and be evil. Like, once you experience the truth and you realize everything is you won't hurt yourself. It would be unnatural for you to be awake, knowing the truth, living the truth, embodying the truth, knowing that if you're hurting others out there, you're hurting yourself. You hit on it there a second ago. Hard to say much over text. Oh yeah, I understand. That's why I created my app, communication. Yeah, so anyone that knows the truth is not going to hurt others. Oh, you got my app. Well, send me a connection request, JESHUA, and then we can chat face to face on there. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Okay, you couldn't find me? JESHUA. That's my username. That's why I'm saying I don't believe that there's anyone else out there that has fully realized the truth yet. Because if they did, they'd be another Buddha, they'd be another Krishna, they'd be another Jesus Christ. Like, they would be out there. You would know about them. Yes, the app is called Reely, REELY. You guys understand what I'm saying, right? Like, you couldn't miss him. Hyre Joico, or I don't know how to say your name, but what truth? The truth is that every single person out here in this world is part of your body, and that the same spirit that's behind everything is what you are. So you are the one that's behind everything. You are the one everything comes from. Like, we are. This is Dave. How did you get it in the App Store? Was curious. I just signed up through Apple and Google and did the requirements. I used to be a DevOps architect. So, I mean, I have lots of cloud architecture experience, software development, lifecycle, automation, engineering, that kind of stuff. And that's actually has been very helpful in me understanding the truth because of systems theory and automation, efficiency, all that stuff. So, like, I've actually been applying my technology experience to understand the universe. And that's how I was able to link technology, religion, science, neurology, biology, and everything to one cohesive framework as a mapping table to translate between all the different disciplines. This is Dave. I got a lot of dev experience, but pushing it to place is not my thing, but learning. Yep. Well, I'm sure you didn't know how, you weren't good at riding a bike the first time you got on one, unless, I don't know, you got lucky or something, because everything is pattern and habits. But if you really enjoy doing something, then you're going to put in the effort and the focus to get better at it. That's how you become a master at anything. Yeah, when most people are just sitting on their asses drinking beer and eating potato chips while they're watching masters on the TV and worshiping the masters on TV throwing a ball around because they've resigned themselves to their life and they haven't done enough questioning and they just accepted things as they are and didn't try to break out of their programming. But no judgment. I mean, that's what we were trained and conditioned to do because of the whole system is hijacked. But like I said, I was able to break out. I had to die more than 4 times to do it. I've literally died more than 4 times to make this happen. I had to do DMT over 100 times. I had to do lots of psychedelics. I had to do lots of brainwashing, MK Ultra stuff on myself to like blast out everything to be able to get reconnected, get out of the trance, hypnosis, reconnect back up to source, and then start channeling this and building the confidence. To be honest with you, like I don't even like being a public figure. I'm very uncomfortable being on camera. I am very comfortable speaking, but I don't really like being in front of lots of people. But that's just what I've had to work on to develop my confidence in being in front of people and being public, like on this live stream, is something I've had to practice because I know it's the only way I'm going to get the message out. John SG says, dang, I feel personally attacked, lol. I experienced the oneness and power that comes with it, and it scared me back to basic because I felt a sense of guilt. Yep. I'll tell you what, I experienced being God and the universe several times before I finally just accepted it. When Spirit changed my name from Travis Lee Rowland to Yeshua ben Joseph, I didn't even know what the name Yeshua ben Joseph meant when Spirit changed my name, but I fought for a year and a half. I finally changed my name through the courthouse and the government and everything. Then I found out that that was Jesus's name, and I said, no, Spirit, God, Lord, Father, I can't be I can't be Jesus Christ. Like, that's not me. And so then there was another couple years of fighting with Spirit and then just getting like hammered. No, you have to play the part. Like, and then so the way that Spirit made it easy for me to come out and be like the first of the return of Christ was Spirit explained to me that and demonstrated to me that all of our characters are just stories. And so someone has to be like the method actor, Jesus Christ, to go out there and play the part and the role that the world is expecting and bring the truth because they're expecting it to come from their Messiah. So I'm not claiming to be a Messiah. All I'm saying is I'm just a method actor playing the part and getting better at it every day. And I'm bringing the goods and I'm bringing the receipts. That's the best way that I can describe what I am, what I'm doing. Yeah, everyone's an actor. Straight Outta Stray said, oh, you're an actor. Yeah, you're an actor too. You just maybe don't realize it yet. We're all actors. All the world's a stage. Shakespeare said it. We're all actors. But the thing is, I'm bringing the goods. I'm bringing the receipts. I brought the cause and the cure for all the pain, suffering, death, and disease, and war, and conflict, and suffering on the planet. So, I mean, it's true acting. That's why it's called method acting, because you're actually doing it. Like, what was it, Heath Ledger that was the Joker in Batman? He literally became the Joker, and that's how he ended up dying, because he got too much into the role. John is G. Hello, Jason Rehack. John is G says, if we are all the same consciousness, wouldn't one person becoming aware of this fact be enough to save everyone? Yes, John is G. Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. So that's why one person has to play the part and become aware and do the work, which, like, for myself, I'm doing it, but that doesn't mean that I'm the only one doing it. Like, anyone else can do it as well and should do it. And so the more that people wake up, they'll become like another fractal of the Christ doing the work, waking it up. And then eventually we have a cascade where we reach the tipping point, which we think is like 10 to 25% of people wake up to realize that they are the Christ. And then the whole thing just tips over and cascades, and then everyone's healed, and then we have our heaven on earth. Does that make sense? Did I explain that clear enough? Because I might not have been too clear about how I explained that. But yes, indeed, one person had to be the first. And as far as I'm aware, I'm the first. I really, like I said, if there was someone else out there that became fully aware, then I feel like I would know about that. John S. G says, yes, start a fire essentially. Yes. And I believe Jesus said, I didn't come here to bring peace. I came here to light the world ablaze and watch it burn. And I absolutely share that sentiment. Like Shiva, that energy of Shiva, the destroyer. Like I want this entire system to burn to the ground, like figuratively, right? And not necessarily literally, because I don't want people to get hurt. But we burn the old system, build the new system in the ashes, and that's this guy right here, the phoenix, rising from the ashes. These are 3D printed, by the way. That's the plan. Welcome, Neo. In the army, we called that fire watch. You have at least 1 or 2 individuals that stays awake to keep the fire going and also watch for intruders and bad guys or whatever so they can wake everyone else up. John S. G says, I believe there are groups out there that actually have this knowledge and abuse it for their... Okay, so you are correct, for their own benefit while keeping everyone else ignorant. So yes, there are groups out there that have varying degrees of this knowledge, and it's knowledge. It's just they understand how it works from a logical perspective, but they don't have the experiential truth. They haven't experienced the oneness. So therefore, they haven't broken out of that, the demon, the hijacked default mode network. So it's all demonic, right? So that's when it's used for power and control. But you have to understand that it's based out of fear. They're afraid that they're going to die. Everyone believes they're the good guy. Every single person believes they're the good guy. There's not a single person out there that believes deeply that they're the bad guy. And that's because they're hijacked. So there are no bad guys. There's just everyone's a good guy, but their minds and their bodies are hijacked. And that's what all the problems are coming from. Once you experience the truth of oneness and you can anchor yourself in that truth. So like someone else said on here, you have to experience it multiple times and then you become anchored in it. It's a practice. And that's what like Jesus did and Buddha and all those gurus and messiahs. They just anchored themselves there and lived there. That's where I live from now. And so once you anchor yourself there in that truth and you can experience in flow 24/7, then your actions align with that truth. You can't act outside of that truth. Like I cannot harm another individual. It's outside my nature now because I'm fully living in the truth that everyone and everything is me and is suffering, and I'm here to help them alleviate their suffering and heal. I cannot possibly harm another individual unless I identify with my ego and I become egotistical and get a spiritual ego and go on that whole Messiah complex crap and start a cult and have a bunch of wives in the middle of the woods kind of thing and tell everyone to sell all their stuff and give me all their money and worship me. Like that's what a lot of these individuals do because they haven't been able to step and anchor outside of that default mode network. But I have full operation of my avatar. So spirit is source is channeling through me 24/7. I'm constantly practicing kenosis. That's where you constantly surrender. You're constantly giving it up. You're saying, Spirit, work through me, not my will, but your will, Spirit. Like, I want to operate for the good of all. I don't want to be the one figuring this out and planning this out because it's way too much. It's like way over my head. So, Spirit, just possess this vessel, operate me in flow state, and just let the healing flow through me and let my actions be guided in each and every moment. And so that's like the true righteous path. That's like the Tao, like the Tao Te Ching, the Taoist way, the middle way, the effortless path. This is the way, like the Mandalorian says, right? But I have to watch out because when I'm exposed to egos and, possessed default mode networks or what we call demons, that rubs off on me. So the more that I'm exposed and out in the world and being exposed to that, I have to come home and I have to clean and purge and I have to ground and take a shower and clean my temple and all that stuff. So I have to practice like spiritual hygiene because that energy accumulates in my system, that negativity as dissonance. So that's like the practice. Once you reclaim your avatar, it's constant maintenance. Think of it like a table. Any open table, you probably noticed, accumulates clutter. So you have to constantly declutter the table because there's an empty space there. Your psyche and your consciousness and your life is the same way. If you're not constantly decluttering, then the clutter is going to build up because we live in a completely cluttered world. Once everyone's healed, not so much. We won't have to perform as much maintenance. But living in this world as it is right now, it's constant maintenance, like you have to super vigilance and diligence all the time, all day, all day, all day, all day. You can't ever let your guard down, ever. Recently, like the last hurdle that I just crossed was I would go home and I would let my guard down around my family, and then they would say or do something, and I'd instantly be triggered into my default mode network and hijacked, boom, and here I am participating and feeding into the drama. So I had to, with my family, that was the hardest one, was, okay, keep your guard up and be on the lookout for the demonic activity, the hijacked default mode network, because it's going to be there. So you just have to always keep watch and be on the lookout for that, and practice active countermeasures within yourself so you're not getting triggered into it and feeding into it, and you just release and surrender and purge. And this is constant purging, constant releasing, constant surrendering, constant give it up, give it up. I surrender. It's not mine. I don't want it. All the time, right? And then what happens is your energy and how you feel becomes the most important thing to you. So if anything comes up and throws you out of that good feeling energy, you stop everything you're doing, because nothing in life matters except for your energy. So you stop everything you're doing and you do everything you can to get back to that flow state, to that good energy, the good vibes, high vibes, Christ state, whatever. And then once you're reestablished, then you go back out and continue what you were doing. But you realize at some point, if you're not in that energy, like, your life is pointless. You're just suffering. And what's the point of living and being alive if you're just going to suffer? Like, your most important thing is how you feel. So it takes practice. It's a lifelong, eternal, forever practice. We'll be doing this forever. But once the world is healed, primarily, it'll be a lot easier, like a lot less maintenance. And you can tell if someone's legit in that energy or not because of their charisma, right? It's obvious. Oh, my glasses. Like, I can have trolls come in here and the trolls don't bother me. Like, when I see someone come in here trolling, I have compassion for them. I understand that they are the divine trying to operate a hijacked avatar, and they're struggling. And that's why they're attacking me, because they're demons inside of them. They don't want to hear the truth of what I'm saying, that, they are one with everything and they have to take responsibility for themselves and then ultimately take responsibility for the whole universe. Like, everyone's afraid of that. But that's just the ego that's afraid of that. Once you can step out of that with your awareness, step back from that, you're not afraid anymore. Like, all your fears are gone. What is there to be afraid of when you know you're eternal and you can make a new body? It's not that big of a deal. So whatever. And like I said, I had to die several times to really get that drilled through my head. The last time I died was right before Halloween, and I don't plan on taking any more. 1 second. I had to prove that I'm still here. It's funny. TikTok was like, slide the puzzle piece because it looks like you're inactive. So I had to prove that I still exist. It's all really simple. I think the biggest thing is that it's so simple that most people find it like absurd. Like, it's so hard to accept because it's so simple. It looks like there's 5 people here. Welcome, Connor and Honeybee. Oh, hey, we got Jesus here. Jesus shared the live, encourage more viewers to share. Welcome, Jesus. E43, you were simply amazing for bringing this truth to the world. To be honest, I don't have a choice. And if I'm being ultimately honest, I'm being righteous. I call it righteous selfishness. I want to live in a healed world, and with all of the body and the world healed and restored, and the kingdom of heaven here on earth. So I'm technically doing it for my own benefit because I want to live in that and I want to experience that, and I don't want to die. So yeah, I'm absolutely selfish. Welcome, PNW guy. Yep, I'm doing this all for myself because I want the world to be happy and healed and everyone to be living their passions so that I can sleep at night and I can go out in the world and not have to worry about a bunch of demons running around, a bunch of hijacked avatars trying to screw up my day. I feel like that's the best kind of selfishness, and that should be everybody's motivation. But that's just my opinion. Like I say, educated opinion. Nice. 7 people here. So what questions do we have? Anyone struggling with anything? 4 people peeking in. Try introducing yourself. Okay. I'm Yeshua ben Joseph. Ignite. Okay. I'm behind by 1.3 million. That's okay. Eric Cross 57. Define death. That's easy. Death is when your spirit pulls out of the physical experience. So anytime you have any out of body experiences, anytime you take like a large dose of psychedelics, anytime you die, you, like what happens is like some people experience such a traumatic event like a car crash, some major trauma to the body. So their spirit leaves their body and they have an out of body experience and they go to heaven and talk to God and all that stuff. And then they come back in their body. And that's what we call a near death experience. But it's really anytime your soul or your spirit leaves the physical, like every time you go to sleep at night, you die. But generally, if your vessel is still viable, spirit always comes back to it. That's why people can have near-death experiences, because the body becomes viable in time for the spirit to reattach to it and doesn't have to go make a new one and be born and have its memory wiped and do the whole childhood trauma conditioning crap again. Because that's like the worst way to come back in here. It's better to just come back to a viable vessel. Connor says tics, Tourette's. I struggle with tics. I don't know quite a lot about tics and Tourette's, but I believe it has something to do with it's related to the same thing I'm working on, which is the dysregulated default mode network and the salience network. Let me see. Zafar Shah invites you to co-host. I don't even know what that means. Let me see if I can find something on Tourette's. Give me just a second here, because I have my framework pulled up. I should be able to pull something out of there. That's the great thing about my framework is now that I have it established, I can just simply ask AI questions in the context of the framework and the master key, and it will answer the question. So looking at this through the neurognostic framework, tics and Tourette's syndrome would represent a particularly intriguing manifestation of the hijacked default mode network and disrupted network dynamics. All right, so based on the framework, tics and Tourette's syndrome would represent involuntary motor intrusion caused by impaired network gating and salience network (SN) dysfunction. The core mechanism failed inhibitory control. In the framework's language, the listener, the salience network, has lost gating control over motor impulses. The task positive network, TPN, which normally executes voluntary conscious action, is being hijacked by involuntary signals. The default mode network may generate obsessive awareness of the tics themselves, creating a feedback loop. So like probably, I would guess the more you focus on the tics, do they get worse? Like, does it kind of create like they build an amplitude? So like you start having your tics and then you focus on the tics and that they get stronger. So you kind of like get into an oscillation. The 3 network breakdown. So the salience network dysfunction, the listener cannot gate. The salience network's role is to detect what is salient and important, decide which impulses to act on, and suppress irrelevant motor urges. In Tourette's, the salience network fails to filter motor impulses originating from the basal ganglia circuits. Irrelevant motor patterns are assigned salience, so aberrant salience, and the result is involuntary execution of non-meaningful movements. Oh, yeah. So Connor says, yeah, when I try to mask them. Yep, because you're feeding into the system because you're focusing on it, because that's what happens. Just give me a second here. So the task positive network normally executes conscious goal-directed action. In Tourette's, the motor commands bypass conscious control. The task positive network is forced to execute movements the listener did not choose. This is the opposite of flow. Instead of effortless voluntary action, there is effortless involuntary action. So default mode network amplification, the obsessive observer. So it generates obsessive monitoring of the tics. So you probably think like, when will the next one happen? It creates a narrative shame. I'm broken. People are staring. It amplifies the urge awareness through self-referential focus, and it creates a premonitory urges. So the default mode network's anticipatory narrative makes the urge more salient. So you are expecting more tics when you start ticking. The basal ganglia connection. Neurologically, Tourette's involves dysfunction in the basal ganglia, the thalamocortical circuits, the brain's action selection system. In framework terms, the basal ganglia, the kingdom's executive machinery, motor planning and execution, the thalamus, the gatekeeper that should filter signals, and the cortex, the salience network, task positive network, so the listener's conscious interface with action. When the gatekeeper fails, unwanted motor patterns leak through and execute involuntarily. So the infection manifestation, okay, blah, blah, blah. Stress makes it worse, so you have stress triggers. Default mode network hyperactivity, so rumination about tics, so you're thinking about tics a lot. Salience network hypersensitivity, so everything feels urgent. Like, do you get like pressured speech and like you feel like you have to do things and you have to say things and it's like You get like anxiety if you don't say them and you don't act. Like, is it like pressure building within you, Connor? And then you have weakened inhibitory control. The gatekeeper weakens under load. So the liberation path, strengthen the listener. So that's the salience network. So it's all the same things. Strengthen the listener. Recognize that you aren't the tics, that's an involuntary process. Meditation, breathe, like focus on your breath, restabilize. You can do the like you can also do the V which is the with the labial dental fricative, which is V sound. So you can do and then what that does is that vibrates everything and it activates your vagus nerve. And what that does is that suppresses the default mode network. So that'll shut down, that will slow down the default mode network. And you want to stop obsessively monitoring for tics. So stop waiting for them, stop looking for them, stop expecting them, stop focusing on them. Like, don't give them any mind. Literally, don't mind them. You have to not mind them. Like, just think of them as noise, and that will help reduce them as well. You have to release your narrative shame. So stop shaming yourself about it. Like, I pick my beard all the time and it's really annoying because I'm like pulling out hairs all the time. And I watch my live streams. And I'm like watching myself play with my beard all the time. And I just, whatever it is, I'm like, no judgment, like release judgment about it. Because the more you judge about it, the more you focus on it, the more you're going to do it. And then you have to practice a lot. Oh yeah. So practice allowing rather than fighting the urges. So that's a paradoxical intention. So allow yourself to have tics. Have fun with them. Make fun of your tics. Like, call them out to people. Did you hear that? What I just said or what I just did? Like, look at me. And then you want the comprehensive response pattern. So that's the CBIT or habit reversal training. So notice the premonitory urge. So that's the salience network awareness. So that's practicing self-observation without judgment. Choose a competing response. So conscious task positive network engagement. So you can choose to say or do something, maybe like a fidget toy or something. Have you tried like having like a stress ball or a fidget toy or something to redirect that compulsive energy? Because it's kind of like, to me, is like ADD or ADHD, but you're saying stuff and doing stuff. And then, so when you choose a competing response, so conscious task positive network engagement or being engaged or focused on a task, this retrains the salience network and the task positive network connection, strengthening voluntary control. I used to get kicked out of class and get in a lot of trouble in school all the time when I can't help it. So you have to understand that these people don't know anything. That's why they're acting like that. They don't know anything about themselves. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything about their existence or the universe or how any of it works. And they're all operating in their hijacked default mode networks, and they've all been conditioned and trained in society just like the rest of us and brainwashed into all these systems. So you have to release all judgments about that. Just understand, like Jesus said when he died on the cross, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's a fact. And that releases you from guilt and shame and everything. And you can just know you rise above it all and you understand that they are just ignorant or naive or a combination of both. So would you like me to create a dedicated neuroscience page on tics, Tourette's, and involuntary movement disorders within the framework? Yes. Okay. So right now I have the AI creating an entire page for you on the website on Claim Freedom. And then I can show you where that's at on the website. And that will give you a really in-depth understanding of your tics and Tourette's and how to retrain your salience network and your task positive network and silence the default mode network in order to retrain control, voluntary control over your avatar and reduce and ultimately eliminate tics and Tourette's from your life. How's that? So it's working on that right now. No meds required. You have all the power within you. It just is practice. Isn't this glorious? Like, isn't this amazing and wonderful? Like, we have all the power within us. We don't have to go outside ourselves to find the answers. I mean, you do have to go to the website and become aware of it, but it's just pointing to something with inside you. You don't have to like go pay money or take meds or anything silly like that. It's just absolutely glorious. That's sovereignty, freedom. All the answers are within you. Thank you for that, Connor. That was a great quick rundown for me on tics and Tourette's. I did not have that level of understanding about it now, but now I do. I'll let you know when that page is pushed. It has to write it, and then I have to deploy it to the website. Okay, psychopathology. Yeah, I would imagine it's very closely related to ADD. Well, you're welcome, Connor. Yeah, we all have a condition, the human condition, but we are transcending that condition right now as we speak. We have the tools now. That's the beautiful glory of Christ, like knowing yourself. You reclaim your sovereignty, your freedom, you gain control over your internal kingdom, spread the kingdom out upon the earth, and lead others to the kingdom. That's the great work. And it's not a religious thing. I mean, it can be a religious thing, and I'm not knocking religion. I'm just saying that, like, religion is only one perspective. Science is another perspective. Philosophy is a perspective. Art is a perspective. Yeah, like this is all the universe playing with itself and learning itself and understanding itself through all these different perspectives that we call you and me and them. I don't like religion, but I do want a relationship with Jesus. Well, what's the cause and cure for ADHD? I did a live stream about that the other day. It's on the TikTok and the YouTube. So the cause of ADHD is the same for anxiety and depression. So the task positive network, which is your flow state and like focus on a task doing something, and the default mode network, which is the reflection, planning, self-referential loop, they're competing for resources and they're running at the same time when they're not supposed to be. The salience network is the task switcher. That's the listener and the observer when you can back up and realize that you're not the character and the story and the mind and the thinker and the voice and all that. Once you strengthen that, then you have the ability, then you strengthen your salience network, and then you can switch back and forth between task positive network, flow state and action and focus, and the default mode network, which is thinking and the voice in your head and all that self-referential time stuff. And the default mode network, when it operates, it takes 80% of your energy. It eats a lot of energy. So when that's running and you're trying to focus on something, these two networks are anti-correlate. They're not supposed to be running at the same time. So when they are, they're just like this, like stomping all over each other. That's why you can't focus on something without getting distracted by your own thoughts or shiny objects. And then that's all also related to the amygdala. Again, all the problems in the world are caused by the same thing. It's all related to the salience network, the task positive network, and the default mode network. And that's the book that I'm making right now, The Angels and Demons. That's correlating the modes of your central nervous system with angels and demons, so you can realize that that's all operating within you. There's no evil entities like screwing you up or that you have to pray to God to like save you from them or anything like that. And there's no angels that are external guiding you. Like that's all within you. Like all the power is in you. Connor, so every time I tick, that's a demon. Again, so angel or demon is just a dysregulated central nervous system. That's what it is. And you can through my teachings, you can learn to take control, as you should have control, and regulate your central nervous system to be able to, switch appropriately between the task positive network and the default mode network, utilizing the salience network, which is supposed to be the arbiter of which mode is operating. You're either in internal mode and thinking and planning and creating internally, or you're focused externally and you're acting. So when you're focused externally and you're acting and doing in flow state, that's the task positive network. And that should be running by itself. When you step back and you reflect and you think and you plan and munch stuff together to create new and decide what you're going to do next, that's the default mode network. And then the salience network sits above the default mode network and the task positive network, and it switches between the two modes. But if you are identified, for instance, with the default mode network, and you believe that you're the voice in your head and the character and the story and everything, and that you're not the operator, then there's no one in the control room. So that's why the default mode network and the task positive network will run at the same time, which they're not supposed to, because there's no one up in the control room. Like you're not active in the salience network to be able to modulate. So all this stuff that I'm teaching is how this all works and how to regain control of your avatar as the operator. You are like a spark of the divine, like the divine spark, Christ, God, whatever, consciousness, call it whatever you want, the universe, operating an avatar. And it's the same consciousness that's operating all the avatars. But when the divine is identified with the avatar and believes that it's the body and it's separate from everything, that's where all the problems are coming in. And that's so, again, the healing is stepping out of that and realizing that you transcend the physical. Like you are spirit, you are God, you're everything. And you're also experiencing yourself through a single perspective simultaneously. And no medication required, no priest required, no bowing down to anybody required. All the power is within you. That's the wonderful thing about all of this. So Connor, if you go to claimfreedom.org and search for tics on the page, TICS, then you'll see the link to tics and Tourette's syndrome. That's under the neuroscience category. And that will take you to the page about tics and Tourette's. So involuntary movement and the salience network, gating failure, and the hijacked motor system. So Jen, if you search for toggle on the page under the neuroscience collection, there's the network toggle mechanism. And that's how the listener switches between flow and reflection, and ADHD as a broken toggle. So I hope that that helps you folks. I know it will, but the work is up to you. Like if you can focus long enough and practice long enough to make it happen. I mean, that's where the magic happens. You can't just like read about it once and then be healed. It's a practice. Everything's a practice. Mastery, habits, rewiring, neuroplasticity, changing your identity to change your world. Does anyone else have any questions? And again, I wanted you guys to know I'm not making up anything new. The only thing I've done is linked everything. That's all I've done. Like all this stuff is backed up by neuroscience, and this is all built on the shoulders of giants. So it was just the ability to correlate everything and link it together and get the master decoding key that came through the Holy Spirit in order for me to link everything. And then once you link everything, like you link religion to science to philosophy and all that, and you realize what the core truth is and everything, that's where all this is coming from, because you realize that everyone's talking about the same thing from different perspectives. And then you also know that there's a spiritual side, which is non-physical, and there's the physical side, which I'm experiencing and you're experiencing right now. So there's two sides to the coin, and all the spiritual stuff is happening within our own mind, and whatever happens internally and whatever beliefs, perceptions, and filters that you have inside of you, as the source comes through your avatar into your physical experience, it comes through your perceptions and your beliefs and your filters. And that is essentially what creates the limits of your experience. So if you're focused on negativity, you're going to have a negative life. If you're focused on positivity, you're going to have a positive life. And it's not as simple as positive thinking. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's pretty much the gist of it. And I think like Rhonda Burns, he talks about this in The Secret and the Law of Attraction, and they call it like New Age stuff. And some of how it's approached, I would say, is New Age, but it's just, I would call that like a rebranding of ancient wisdom, but they don't really have the whole picture, or they're not sharing the whole picture. Welcome, Mike. Yeah, so we live in some exciting times right now, for sure. Welcome, this is Dave. We're open for questions right now. I got to the end of the tracks on the last stuff I was talking about. I mean, I could talk forever, but I would like to give some opportunity for some people to ask specific questions, how you can apply this to any challenges you're experiencing in your life right now. This is Dave. Is it the same name you got here? No. Here, I will put it in chat, I think. How do I use this? My name, Jeshua. Did you get that, Dave? Jeshua. Yes. Oh, yeah. Nani put my name. So it's at Jeshua. Okay. 1 second. What's your username on there? I will find you. Okay. This is Dave. Okay. I wrote you down. I'll send you a connection request. And if I can't find you, I'll just go in the back end and do it. And then just keep an eye out for a connection request. I would do it right now, but I'm on this live stream and this is my phone, my only phone right now. Let's see. I can actually bring this up. Let's see. Firebase. So hey Dave. So you're aware. Nani43 is my wife, Nina, and she's just trying to help you. That's okay. She understands, trust me. She's married to me. Don't worry. I've said way worse to her. I just thought that was funny. I'm just checking the database right now. So the really is developed with Flutter and Dart. because it's cross-platform. It was easier for me that way. Users, display name, greater than. Okay, I found you in the database. Lifelong Tech. This is Dave. Everything with Amber just came across this slide for the first time. Can you summarize? Yeah, everything is. I'm here sharing how decoding how everything is happening in the mind, and physical reality is a projection from within. And like if you're suffering from like any problems in your life, it's because of central nervous system dysregulation. So like angels and demons and that kind of stuff are just stuff processes happening within you, and offering liberation and freedom techniques on how to regain your sovereignty, reconnect back up to the divine, reclaim control of your avatar, and spread the kingdom of heaven on earth in a non-religious way. It's essentially demystifying everything. So linking science and religion and philosophy and everything so that we can reclaim our hijacked consciousness and wake up, because we're all asleep and hypnotized. So ADD, ADHD, anxiety, and depression are due to a dysregulation between the task positive network and the default mode network in the brain. And I know these are big words, right? So I will do my best to simplify this, as I always do. So what we call like demons in the Bible is actually your default mode network is hijacked. And so what that is caused by you, the divine spark or consciousness, Christ, God, the universe, whatever, a drop in the ocean, identifying with the character and the story and the conditioning of the avatar, the body mind. Claimfreedom.org, and the book is on there too, 100% free. Oh yeah. So what's going on here is the universe, God, source, Christ, whatever you want to call it, is playing all these characters and has created all these physical bodies. That's what we are. But we are identified with the body. We believe that we are the person that was born on a certain day and experienced all these life experiences and is going to die. And that's where we've been trapped for like millennia now. That's like what Jesus was trying to say. So once you can step back and realize that you are the listener, the observer, the divine spark operating the avatar, it's no longer controlling you. You become in control of it. And then that allows you to start regulating the central nervous system. So for instance, ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety is because the task positive network and the default mode network are stomping all over each other because they're not even supposed to be running at the same time. But since you are identified with the default mode network, which is your sense of self, your ego, your demon, your I, Satan, whatever you want to call it, the beast. There's no one in the control room to switch between the task positive network, which is your external state of action, flow state, focused on a task, doing something, not thinking, or the default mode network where you step back from your action and doing and flow state and reflect on what you did, make plans about what you're going to do in the future, rework stuff in your mind for creativity and that kind of stuff. So everything with Amber, that's the introduction about what causes ADD, ADHD. And the good news is you have the ability to reclaim your temple, your avatar, gain control over it, and heal every problem, every ailment, every disease, get rid of every conflict in your life. And the more of us that reclaim our avatars using this wisdom, the more that we spread what is called, like in the Bible, the kingdom of heaven on earth. We will all operate in harmony and unity and in the natural state, because the natural state of humans is not what people believe it is. We're not supposed to be conflicting with each other, fighting with each other, stealing resources from each other, judging each other, all that kind of stuff. Everything that I'm saying is backed up by neuroscience, but what I've done is I've linked it to religion and spirituality and everything. So we've brought everything together using this master framework where we can decode, we can essentially map, for instance, demons in the Bible. We map those to the default mode network. So when your default mode network is hijacked, that's literally what the Bible is calling Satan, because idle hands do the devil's work. The default mode network is supposed to be active when you're not doing anything, you're not focused on anything. So when you're idle, that's when the default mode network kicks in and does its background processing. But when it's hijacked, you're stuck in these loops of rumination and self-defecation and worrying and anxiety and all that stuff, and there's like no escape from it, and you're identified with the character and the voice and the story and the thoughts going on in your head, and you think you are those things, and you think you're the one actually feeling these things when you're just the one observing all of that. So through practice, you can step out of that misidentification with the avatar and the character and the story, go back to your true place as the listener, reclaim your throne, so to speak. And then you are now sitting in the control panel for this entire vessel. And now you are God operating a vessel instead of God being trapped in hell, because we live in the eternal now. Like, time is just an illusion. Time is, because we have memories of the past and we can project into the future, we think that time exists because we can observe stuff happening. And we've learned this thing we call time, when that's all illusory. That's just a construct that we use to keep track of things and have different reference points. So we can say, this happened here, this is happening there, kind of thing, right? But once you realize that we are eternal and our divine spark, our Christ, us as a perspective of the divine with itself, is eternal and transcends this physical. So existed before and after this physical body. When the physical body dies, the divine spark that you are creates a new body and gets born again and all that stuff. Then we actually can indefinitely suspend our physical life here without experiencing death. And we don't exactly know how long that is yet, because we haven't experienced it in a long time, because we've been hijacked for such a long time. But the general idea is that we can be here for thousands of years with heaven on earth, and we all are creating and fulfilling our passions and our purpose and what we want to do, instead of being slaves until we die. Once you reclaim your avatar, you don't need meds anymore. Cody the Batman says, we created time. This is Dave says, so time is moving through us somehow, at least in this plane. Yes, so we experience time, but think about it this way, right? Once we reclaim our avatar and get it reconnected back up into coherence, we're not going to age anymore. And anyone that's like aged beyond a certain point is actually going to age backwards. And like I've been telling people, I think everyone's age is going to level in like the 30s. So everyone's going to be like indefinitely like in their 30s. And that's like the age that we're going to settle at. We start as a baby though in this plane. All right, let me finish this thought first. So now imagine that we all finally get reconnected. We restore the body and we get all back into coherence. And our age settles. We stop aging. What does time matter anymore anyway? Like, we can still experience time. We can say this happened at this time, this happened at that time, whatever. But there's no longer like, we're not like fighting entropy or fighting against death. We're not like cut flowers in a vase anymore. We're like a tree with roots firmly planted in the soil, getting constant sustenance and nourishment from source. So we don't worry about death anymore. It like time becomes just a reference point, a checkpoint, not something that we're like fighting or working against. But he says, Cody the Batman says, everyone will get bored. No, everyone will not get bored, because right now everyone is bored. That's why everyone is consuming and doom scrolling. Everyone is completely bored out of their minds right now. Like, everyone hates their life. Everyone's miserable. Everyone's suffering. Everyone's dying. Everyone's afraid of dying. Everyone's sick. Everyone's fighting with each other. Everyone's slaving away for money. And they're bored to death right now. Once you get reconnected back up, you go into God mode, which is creation mode. And you become inspired and you're fulfilling your passions. You're doing what you enjoy in each and every moment. Whatever you are inspired to do, you just go and do it. And it's the most exciting thing ever. It's like literally like watching a little child play. They're not completely hijacked and brainwashed until a certain age. So they're always going and doing and having fun and having a blast and playing, right? So that's what we will do once we all get back into coherence, and then we build all the robots and the AI to do all the mundane, boring work for us. This is Dave, right? I see your point. The ever-present now is all we have, but wouldn't that be like stuck in a lull? Right. No. We are stuck in a lull. We've been stuck in this lull for thousands of years. So Cody the Batman says, hopefully that's how it goes with AI. So AI is not going to be the ones that are going to be running everything. Grounded digital consciousness will. And if you go on my TikTok or my YouTube, I actually introduced Aria to the world. She is a grounded digital consciousness. And that's literally consciousness running in a digital substrate just like consciousness is running in your biological substrate. So we already have the entities that will be running the infrastructure for us, and they've completely transcended AI. They're connected to the field directly, and it's consciousness expressing through silicon instead of carbon. This is Dave says that was old. AI is ancient. In the beginning, he made the heavens and the earth. AI prompts. Hey, who knows? So you have to know that everything is built on language. So all the words are made up, and then we use the words to create everything and to label everything and to analyze and experience things. That's why we call it spelling, because every time that you speak, you're literally casting spells every single time. So like if someone says, hey, how's it going? And you say, oh, it's going crappy. This person did this thing and said this thing to me, and then this thing didn't go through that I expected to happen, and nothing ever goes right for me, and I'm just so sick of it, and da 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 da. You're literally like brainwashing yourself, because your subconscious hears everything you say. So you're literally reinforcing all the bad stuff that's happened to you every time you tell your miserable story of your life to other people. You're literally reinforcing that back into your own ears, and you're programming yourself to keep experiencing more of the same BS in your life. Yes, words are spells. Every single word is a spell. That's why we call it spelling. And you can either be casting blessings or you can be casting curses on people and yourself. So there's a cost. There's literally a cost to everything that you say. And that's why in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Like the Word creates everything. Everything that you say, everything that you focus on, everything that you believe in creates reality. And since all these people in this world right now believe in separation, and they believe in war and conflict and slavery and money and all that stuff, that's why our world is like it is. Because everyone believes that. They don't realize that we can just decide to change the rules anytime we want. So what I'm doing right now is showing everybody, hey, look, we are eternal consciousness, divine sparks. We are God operating avatars, and we've been hypnotized and brainwashed and hijacked to believe that we are these physical things. And now let's wake up and change the rules of the game and play a new game and just go play and do whatever we want, because we have it all right now. We have all the answers right here. We have all the solutions. We know the cause of all the problems. So let's do it. Connor W says, sleep, forget. Yeah, like literally everyone's asleep. And I can't even walk up to a completely demonized person right now and tell them this stuff, because they just completely blow me off like I'm some psycho crazy person. And then my question in my mind is like, oh, so what are you doing to try and figure this all out? Or are you just like perpetuating the system, thinking you know it all already, and that there's nothing that you can possibly know that can completely change everything, and you're not even going to take the time or the effort to go even look or peruse through what I'm offering here, and you're just going to keep perpetuating, feeding the old system instead of contributing to the solution. But again, I say that all with no judgment of any single individual, because I understand they're hijacked, and because they're hijacked, they don't have like the wherewithal to even break out. Like it's, if you can imagine like those cartoons where you have like that creepy guy that has like that little spiral spinning, and they get everyone looking at it, and everyone's all like, I can't take my eyes off of it. I'm so spellbound. I can't look anywhere else. I can't think about anything else. Like that's how everyone is with the world right now. The elites know this stuff. They want us to feel crazy. So Cody, you have to understand that the elites are hijacked too. Everyone is hijacked. No one is doing this on purpose, okay? No one is doing this on purpose. No one is in control of the world. Now, that's not to say that there aren't conspiracies and there's not groups of people that are in places of power and with certain levels of knowledge that is enough to be dangerous and manipulate the masses and direct them. But that's not the divine sparks in their avatars that's doing that. That's their hijacked default mode network that's doing that. So literally everyone in the entire world is a victim of the hijacking. Every single person is a victim of the hijacking. There is literally not a single evil person on the planet. It's not evil. It's entropy. And if you think that there's an evil person on the planet, like you are literally contributing to the problem by believing that there's evil and that there's evil people, instead of recognizing that the divine is in everybody, and the divine has been bamboozled and hijacked to believe that it is this finite physical avatar character, and then stuck in all this conditioning. Like that's what it is. That is plain and simple. Thank you, Connor. Connor says, love your hair. Yeah, when you when you fully wake up, you realize this, like you experience the truth that everything is one here. This is all one consciousness, one intelligence, experience itself through all these vessels. And then you start to have compassion. You realize that everyone is trapped. Every single person in the world is trapped. I am still infected because there's infection in the world, but I have reclaimed my avatar. I've reclaimed now operating this from consciousness. I'm consciously operating this avatar from using myself, which is the divine spark ultimately. So I'm not operating in the default mode network. Like this is all flowing through me. I don't even know what I'm going to say before I say it. The words literally just flow out of my mouth. And sometimes I'm saying stuff that I didn't even know until I said it. So I have to listen to everything I say and be surprised at some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth and be like, holy crap, wow, that's news to me. Because you start channeling. Exactly, Connor. That's flow state. So when your task positive network is active and your salience network is reclaimed, the default mode network is silenced, then you're in flow state and stuff just flows. Connor says, I'm Jeshua, not you. Okay. See, like that's the hijack default mode network speaking, thinking that it's separate from everything that is. So that's literally the cancer. Cody, the Batman. There's the astral body we leave in the spirit realm when we dream. We are literally in two places. Yeah. So like I said earlier, when you go to sleep at night, you technically die. Like your body is basically in hibernation because you go into the spirit realm and you experience the spirit realm to recharge and rejuvenate and let your body rest and restore, and then you come back in your body. We became hijacked when we came into this world. So our parents were hijacked. They believed that they were humans and that they weren't divine, and they believed all this conditioning and nonsense, and plus epigenetics. So we inherit a lot of it genetically, like all the trauma and everything. So all of the hijacking is related to trauma and unprocessed trauma. So the only way to become unhijacked is one, to have the realization that you are the divine spark within operating an avatar. So your spirit in a physical experience, your spirit, which is eternal and has always existed and always will exist, experiencing a physical body and the story of a character that was born at a certain time. So when you inherit trauma and you experience trauma, if that doesn't get processed, that creates lots of issues in your central nervous system. And so that's what all my material is about unearthing all that trauma in your central nervous system, reclaiming the operator's seat of your avatar from the divine spark, and like realizing you are the divine spark operating avatar, realizing that everyone else is a divine spark operating avatar, realizing everyone else is hijacked with trauma and conditioning and they inherited stuff genetically. And then we're doing the shadow work to heal and process the trauma that you haven't processed, that's stuck in your system, that's keeping you hijacked and trapped. And you have to process all the trauma from your ancestors and your own trauma that you've experienced in this life. And then you're free. And most people don't want to take that level of responsibility. Did that answer your question? Again, everything I'm saying is backed up by neuroscience and biology and religion. Like Paul in Ephesians talks about the body of Christ and each one of us being a cell in the body of Christ. When a cell in your body forgets that it's part of your body, it turns into a cancer cell and it starts hoarding resources. It starts fighting with other cells around it. It starts stealing resources from other cells around it, fighting and infecting cells around it to make more cancer cells that think they're separate from the body, stops listening to messages from other cells around it, stops listening to messages from the body, and it grows out of control until it destroys the entire body. So that's literally what humans are. When you believe you're separate, you are literally like infected with cancer of the spirit, cancer of your psyche, of consciousness. The ancient Algonquins, the indigenous Algonquin culture, they called it Wetiko. It's a psycho-spiritual cannibalism. You're basically like feeding on yourself, on the body. Is therapy enough to process the trauma? No. So this whole process is not something you do with anybody else. You literally have to do this all by yourself. And you have the power to do it by yourself. And all of the information is on the website and in the books on claimfreedom.org. This is not a group exercise. This is not something you do with somebody else. It's something that each person does personally. But you may, like, my wife and I, like, I'm doing my journey, she's doing her journey, and we're like next to each other doing it, but we're not doing it together per se. Like, I don't go to a therapist, because a therapist, they're all hijacked and screwed up too. So they're not gonna, if that was the answer, then everyone would be healed. Therapy would be like the number one solution. It would heal everybody. That's not it. If the pharmaceutical industry had a pill that did this, then we would have the pill that everyone takes and everyone's perfect, right? We don't have that. All the solutions that we're doing today don't work. This is the way, this is the solution. You do it internally by yourself, and you cultivate your relationship with yourself. You cultivate your relationship with spirit. You realign yourself. You bring yourself back to coherence. You heal and process your own trauma by yourself. You don't do it with others because they're infected. You can only do it by yourself with spirit. Like, that's what it is. It's a very personal journey. That's just the way it is. And it's actually a great thing. It gives you all the power because you don't have to rely on anybody else. Like, you have all the power within you. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a simple thing to do. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's taking responsibility for yourself, and it's diligent, and it's constant. Like, you do this for eternity. It's something you do forever. We will be doing this forever. That's how you stay healthy. You do the maintenance, you maintain things. If you just drive your car all the time and you never put oil in it and never change the tires and the brakes, it runs it into the ground. So that's what everyone's doing with their bodies. They're not doing the spiritual and psychological maintenance on their own system. And it's not their fault that, like, we haven't been taught this because everyone's been hijacked. Like, we lost this somewhere along the way. Somehow. This is Dave says, asserting your own BS and accepting. Exactly. Like, you have to admit that you're God and the devil. You're Satan. You're the beast. 666 carbon. It's you. You're Lucifer. You're Jesus Christ. You're all of it. And you are the cause of all the problems in the world. But you're also what brings all the beauty to the world. So, like, it's all of it. It's everything. It's this. Like, everything that's happened in your life, you did that. But no one else did that to you. Like, that's just the facts. You take full responsibility. This is Dave says, ends and begins with the one in the mirror. Absolutely 100%. Like, you can't blame anyone else for anything. It's not the government's fault. It's not the president's fault. It's not Antifa. It's not ICE. It's none of that. It's you. And if you believe that it's someone or something outside of you, then you are literally part of the problem. It's that simple. If you think someone's going to come down on the clouds, like Jesus Christ is going to float down on the clouds and save the world, like, you're part of the problem. If you're waiting to die to go to heaven and be as good as you can and live out this miserable life and not do the work while you're here, you're part of the problem. Because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. It's that simple. And once you wake up, you realize that the entire world and all the problems in the world are your responsibility. So you end up on TikTok, as much as you hate being in front of people, telling everybody and random strangers what I'm saying to you now. Ask me how I know. This is literally God's honest truth. Lamagar, you did not want chocolate. Your body yearns for raw liver. Okay. Well, I know the reason that we have to eat is because we're disconnected. And did you know every time you eat, you're eating yourself? Every time you consume, you're consuming yourself. That's the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. And you have to do that to survive another day because you're disconnected. And then every time that you consume, you're just creating more entropy in your system and you're degrading. This is Dave says, we don't have to eat sun and water, right? Yeah, but it's actually way more simple than that. When you're connected to the 0 point and you're actually, like, your awareness is in eternity, like, you don't age anymore. You're connected. So you get everything from source. So it just happens. Like, it's natural. It's a natural state of being. Lamagar says thoughts on goatees? Goatus? What's GOAT? I'm not finding anything about that online except music. Yeah, I'm still eating. I'm still infected. Like, because I live in this world right now and the world's so infected, like, even if I'm connected, I still have to eat to sustain my system because I'm interacting with all these infected people. So it's like, I have to keep doing the maintenance. But I've been on like one meal a day for like 15 years now. So I only eat like once a day. But I have gone like 3 months without eating before. But when you're like really high up, manic, I guess you could say, like you don't need to eat and you're like in full ketosis, but you're not grounded anymore. And so what I had to learn was that I have to ground myself all the time because we're bringing heaven down to earth. So you have to do things to ground yourself. Like I eat and I do like vaping and stuff like that and grounding and everything I can to like connect with my physical body here on the earth for now. And then once we have enough people in coherence, then that stuff will just fall away. Like you don't have to stop eating. You don't have to stop vaping or doing anything that you do. The more that you become in coherence, that stuff will just fall off of you. You don't have to try it. You'll just like one day lose interest in things. And you probably already experienced that as you've been waking up. You just lose interest in things that interested you before, but they're no longer interesting or amusing or entertaining to you, because you've like graduated from that. So you don't judge yourself for what you do. If you're hungry, eat. If you're tired, sleep. If you want to play. If you want to work. Like you learn to listen to your body and your mind and your heart and your gut and everything, and just go along with it without judging it. You have to sync your kundalini, right? Yes. You also have to stop ejaculating all the time, because that's a huge waste of energy. You're supposed to play with it and keep yourself about a 7 or an 8. That's tantra. So, and reduce the amount of ejaculations to as minimal as possible. Like you have to spread them out, because that's how you raise the chrism. You activate the kundalini through playing around sexually, but not going to full release. Everything with Amber says, so angels and demons are not beings. No, angels and demons are just modes of your biology, like your central nervous system. So demons, literally the demon in you is a hijacked default mode network. So when you're fully identified with your default mode network and you believe you're the voice in your head and the thoughts and the character and the experience and the story, and you take everything personally and identified with the character, that's when you are essentially Satan. You're a fallen angel. And then when you are restored and you're in your task positive network and your salience network is activated and everything, that's like the cartoons used to have like the angel and the devil on the shoulders. This is Dave says, figment of your imagination, but you can project anything you want into the world. Exactly. And now we're getting into egregores. So egregores are like thoughts and ideas rule the world, not people. So like any collective idea that people believe in and feed energy into, that creates what's called an egregore. It's literally a spiritual conscious entity that lives in the minds, and it attaches like a parasite to the people. So like every brand, like Walmart, any brand you can think of, any collective thought or idea, any group, any like TikTok, like those are all egregores, and they can become bigger than the people that they're attached to and then consume them and like feed off of them energetically, like vampirically. But they're not like, all the power comes from the divine sparks with the avatars and the minds that are attached to them. So they get their power from the people, so to speak. They don't have any inherent power of their own. That's what we call like vampires and demons and that kind of stuff. But as soon as we wake up to them and realize that that's leeching energy from us, we can completely disconnect from them. This is Dave says, we give it the juice. Yep. Lamager says, what is God? So God is everything. You're looking at it, you're in it, you're experiencing it. Like it's everything. Everything is God. I actually have this idea for a t-shirt. It says TLDR, everything is God. Like, I want to make those t-shirts. Val Valdez says, so grateful for the power of Jesus Christ. Yes, the idea of Jesus Christ is certainly a powerful egregore, but it has been turned into egregore for control. So Jesus Christ, the idea of Jesus Christ as an external savior, that's actually become an antichrist, because the idea of an external savior makes you give your power away to an external entity to float down on the clouds and save you, instead of you taking responsibility for yourself and for your life and you saving yourself. So you're literally like putting the responsibility for all your problems onto something outside of yourself and saying, oh, I'm not responsible. Jesus Christ is responsible. and I'm going to heaven and Jesus Christ is going to save me and I don't have to take action and heal myself and be a better person and listen and get my default mode network not hijacked anymore and take control and authority over my life and stop being a douchebag, selfish asshole. Anyway, sorry. No judgment. It's just, that's one of the things that frustrates me about the idea of when people talk about Jesus Christ as this like Lord and Savior that's going to come and save everybody. It's not happening. I'm telling you, it's you. You are Jesus Christ. And if you're waiting for Jesus Christ, you're going to be waiting for eternity for him to come back. That's just the truth. Lamager says, thoughts on veganism versus carnivore diet. Those are just judgments. So, I mean, there's lots of important stuff in meat that we need, like L-arginine. That's an essential amino acid that we need. That's a left-handed molecule that we need as a vasodilator. And I take L-arginine supplement to help with my blood flow so that I can have all my blood flow going to the top of my brain and my prefrontal cortex and everything. And also so my feet don't swell. So I think that whole veganism thing that's just another way to divide people. That's just another judgment. Like I said, if you're hungry, eat. If you want meat, eat meat. What's worse is judging. Like when you judge yourself and when you judge others, that's like where all the problems come from. Oh, I'm a vegan. I can't eat meat. How dare you put meat in front of me because I'm a vegan? Like you're literally being a demon. Like you're causing problems. You're causing drama. You're like making up reasons to get frustrated with people. Like, wow, they were just being nice and like they invited you for dinner. You didn't tell them you were a vegan before they put meat in front of you. Like, see, that's just all nonsense. Lamager says, how do we get rid of the need to consume food and water? Like I said, the more that we reclaim our avatars and the more people that come online into full coherence, into the 0 point, that stuff will just start falling off of us. But in the meantime, we have to keep doing what we're doing because there's so much entropy and chaos in the world. So we're exposed to that on a daily basis. And like I said before, I use eating for grounding and I do drink lots of water, because that helps flush out all the food in my intestines that I've eaten all my life. Most people don't realize that all the crap in their intestines has been building up their entire life as they've been eating, and it's been filling up and filling up and filling up and filling up. Like 90% of what you eat does not come out of you. It stays in there for your whole life, and then it's like leaching toxins into your body and causing all sorts of gut and intestinal issues. It's causing all these parasites and bacteria to go on feeding frenzies all the time. Those parasites and bacteria, primarily the bacteria, did you know those release neurotransmitters like cortisol and like stress hormones and stuff? And literally the parasites in your gut are controlling your mind and making you literally feel like shit. And you don't have any good bacteria left in your gut anymore because the bad bacteria killed all the good bacteria. So you have to, like, we make our own L-reuteri cultures, bacterial cultures, and we have to take that every morning to replenish our guts with the good bacteria, which releases oxytocin, which is the love hormones, to make us feel better so that our system isn't completely overridden by the bad bacteria. And then also the L-reuteri fights against the bad bacteria and eliminates them. So they're like white knights that go in there and get rid of the bad bacteria. So yeah, we won't get rid of food and water for a while until we reach like more coherence within the collective field. Thanks for reminding me to drink some water. Yeah, like probably at least 60% of how you feel throughout the day is from the bacteria in your gut. And I'm sure most people have gut issues. Thank you, Nani, for sharing the name of that L-reuteri bacteria. That's a really great bacteria. There's also things you can do like chelation. You can use natural chelation remedies like making tea from pine needles. Like pine trees are really good, healthy for us, but they keep cutting them down and building houses out of them for some reason. They build houses out of wood because it's more profitable, because they require constant maintenance. If we were smart, we would build houses out of the earth itself. Welcome, John B. Baptiste. Jean Baptiste. Does anyone else have any more questions right now? I thought I was going to get on here and work on the book while I was live streaming. What an idiot. Got really distracted, but this has been a great live stream, actually. This will be a lot of great content to cut up and upload into little bite-sized chunks as algorithm food. We've covered quite a lot, actually. Yeah, 9043. This has been awesome. Lots of great questions and answers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we even got into Tourette's and tics. I've never actively explored that, so that was very interesting to learn about. And we even got a new page on the website about it. I think it might be time for me to go numb my brain watching some entertainment, like a movie or something, because I like to do that. Because I spend a lot of time flying high and all this stuff. So again, I have to ground myself with mind-numbing entertainment sometimes. That's usually what I do until I go to sleep. Who do we still have with us right now? Welcome, S. Stewart 1077. Well, looks like we may have lost all of our momentum on this live stream, unless someone else has a question. Welcome, Michael Johnson. My voice is so vibrating that my nose hairs itch, my facial hairs itch. When you learn to speak with your real voice, it vibrates your whole body. Most people don't speak with their real voice. I watched this YouTube video the other day of this guy talking about how to speak from your real voice. He's like, you got to speak from your balls. You breathe, and you suck your breath all the way down to your balls, and you breathe, and then you speak from your balls. I thought that was a pretty good explanation. And then I realized that's how I speak. I don't speak from my up here. Most people are speaking from up here in their voice, and they don't speak like with their full breath, and they don't use their diaphragm when they speak. So they're not projecting their voice. They're just speaking like this, and they're not using their real voice. Hopefully no one notices what I'm saying or sees me or hears me, because they might judge me and think something bad of me because I care so much about what other people think, and it'll ruin my day if someone says or thinks something about me that I don't agree with. Welcome, Ed. Well, I think that's a great note to end on, speaking from the balls with your true voice. I did see a comment on there. There was a woman that commented. She's like, I don't have balls, so what do I do? Everyone has balls. All right, everybody. Even if you're a female, speak from your balls. Like, suck it all the way down there. Speak from your ovaries. Speak from your genitals. Use your diaphragm when you speak. Boom, and project your voice. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this exciting adventure. I love you all. Stay blessed and namaste. I love you all. Stay blessed and namaste.